And then the second pandemic, I just sort of, even though I was leaning heavily on my faith, the faith community was letting me down in ways that I was not, I just experienced such hurt. And I had put in a lot of effort for diversity in worship spaces. And when there was not the backing that I expected, I definitely experienced hurt, anger, the whole range of emotion. And then I found I had to step away, like my sister said. And then I found the strength to say, we got to talk about this.
What do you mean you were let down by the faith community? I'm curious.
Well, you know, when you attend a diverse church, and those voices are silent, when your brothers and sisters are being murdered, that's hurtful. You've worshiped, you've prayed together, you've been on the floor together, and you know, you've been on your face together. And
doesn't it seem like that's the case often with being a Black woman? It seems like we're always fighting for everybody else, and a lot of times we're the last to get that same respect, even from our own sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Was it Minister Farrakhan? We're the most disrespected people in America, the Black women.
And I felt that. But it you know, that something rises up in you when that happens. And at first it is hurt and you go, oh, and then something, the Jesus that turned over the tables, rise up in you. And you say, no. We're going to talk about this. We're going to get this, you know. And so it's begun. It has become a wonderful time of talking, but also a wonderful realization on my part as to who was who, and not to write anybody off, but it's just always good to know. Always good to know, you know. So it's been definitely an awakening.
Seeing now how easy some companies all of a sudden have awoken. Almost. Right. Why couldn't this happen in the last 10, 20, 30 years? It seems like now, because of getting shamed because of social media, if you're not on board now, you look really bad. And you see when they want to do it, just like that, the NFL says, oh, it was a mistake. Oh, Colin Kaepernick should have a job. Oh, we're going to give these millions of dollars to all these companies. We're going to diversify and put shelf space for Black brands. Why the hell weren't you doing it before? Why?
You know, one thing about women, we're not afraid to speak truth to power. And it's so important that we do that, because I've worshiped at multicultural churches and predominantly Black churches. And you find it's hard to have that conversation. But what I would want to say to white pastors that are pastoring over a multicultural, congregation, you have to open up your eyes. And even though you may not understand, you can never understand, but you have to respect what Black people go through. And so, you know, many times people say, I don't see color, I don't see color. And, you know, Jesus is, they want to talk about God being colorblind. Well, if God was colorblind, why in the world did he create all this beauty? You know, all these beautiful arrays and hues of color of people. It's his artistry and it's his creation. So just because you may not understand what I've gone through, you know, it doesn't negate the truth of what I've gone through. And so we have to not be afraid to have the conversation. If you love me, and if you really, really love me the way you say you do, then you will take the time out to hear me, to not to just hear my words, but hear my heart. And so that's where the people of God have to really come together and not to be afraid to just tell the truth.
I like that.
That's right.
You know, speaking of telling the truth, Amanda Seales, she's saying a lot of her white friends are coming to her like, give us literature. What could you recommend for us to read so we can educate ourselves? And she said something that it was in a totally different direction that I would have thought. She said, no, it's not my job to lay it all out for you. If you really care, you should go do the research. You should go look it up, because we're tired. We've been saying it for years.
I did that.
Right. If you're really about that, right? Shouldn't the effort be on them to make that effort?
Yeah.
I think it's also really inconsiderate, you know. These Black people are mourning and they're clearly going through so much, and you want to reach out, and I get it, but it's also like, maybe now is not the time. Don't just check in now, you know what I mean, all of a sudden, to make sure that things are cool, because that's more so about you feeling comfortable than it is about me and what I'm actually dealing with, you know.
And I don't like it. It really was about that there's trauma here. We are all experiencing trauma on one level or the other. And you don't go to someone who's been traumatized and say, now tell me, I know you're bleeding, but I need to find, you know. So these, you know, very bright people, and you know how to research information you want to research, and you find out everything you want to find out about. So I can't be your resource right now. And so, you know, I was able to do that, and I was respected for doing that. And my friends went off and found their own information.
And if that's really coming from that heart space, they really will do that and understand, like, I'm bleeding right now. You know, I'm trying to bandage my own wounds right now. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right. If it's coming from that place and from that space, then and they're really sincere.
Yeah.
You can Google all kind of information. You can get all kind of books.
We find out everything that we want to find out about. So this has to be a priority for you. And I can't hold your hand through it because I'm going through it. So
that's more that lane of privilege, and, you know, kind of having, you know, an expectation that everything's just going to be laid out. They don't have to do as much work. And speaking of, did you hear, I think it was Louis Giglio, I think his name was, from Atlanta. There was this whole conversation about maybe it's not white privilege, but it's white blessings that are being bestowed upon white people. And that's how we should be looking at it. So we should be looking at that white folks are just being blessed, overlook our pain and look at them as being blessed. And that's like another way we're supposed to just kind of like swallow our pain. It's amazing the arrogance. And I love that this awakening is happening, because it's really showing and exposing a lot of folks that were kind of getting away with doing their nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And social media, I complain about it sometimes, but I think it has been truly instrumental at galvanizing the youth and really calling a lot of attention to these things. So what has all this taught you about yourselves? Angela, I know you said that, you know, you said a lot already, but have you learned anything else about yourself with this trauma? Or is it's not really new to us because we've kind of been going through it?
It's not really new to us because we've been going through it, and you never know a wound has not healed until it gets injured again. Mm-hmm. And so you know, we always knew that it wasn't healed, but this particular injury was different because we were still, and because we were already at home and still. It just made us pay attention more to everything. I think we were all just very sensitive to everything, and we needed to be. So it's taught me a lot about myself. One of the main things, I have a 2-year-old, and I've always been this bridge. I've always, I've done diversity work in the workplace. I've done diversity work in church, created organizations for it. And I did it all before I had a 2-year-old son. And when this happened and I have this son, I realized that's not my work anymore. And it was wonderful for that season, and it blessed me in that season. But the time that I spent trying to make everything okay for everybody and us all get along, and I'm not opposed to that at all, but it's time taken away from me helping my son's world be better. And so my focus now is on my brothers and sisters. and helping us to live. It doesn't mean I don't love everybody. It doesn't mean, but I believe that diversity only works when everybody wants it. Otherwise it becomes assimilation and we all become in this little thing and we all become, so I really love the work that was there, but the way I've changed now is that I just want to be 100% with my brothers. What do we got to do? What, Black businesses? Let's support these businesses. Let's form organizations for this. And my focus is just different because of him. And I heard people say all the time how children change you. And he has truly, totally changed even the work that I'm committed to doing from now on.
Love it.
You know, as we look at these two pandemics, you know, the COVID-19 pandemic and the racist 2020 pandemic, I want to kind of hit on the COVID-19 pandemic. Many people wonder, why did this thing happen? Did God bring this thing? And my answer is, I don't know if God brought it or not, but I know God is using it. And he's using it because even in my own life, I believe that he's using it as an opportunity for us and his children to strengthen our faith muscles. Because of what we do, in the arts got shut down, baby. All the work that we do, going out to do concerts and film work has been shut down, and so many things have closed. But what it has caused me to do is caused me to believe God for the day-to-day, because he promised to meet our needs daily. So I'm learning how to just really strengthen my faith muscles of believing and understand that whatever I need, because the word says, never seen the righteous forsaken nor a seed begging bread. So I haven't gone hungry. I'm sure you sisters have not gone hungry, but it's an opportunity because it's putting the family back together. Our families have been so separated and so discombobulated, everybody off in their own different rooms on their devices. We don't talk anymore. Many people don't know what's going on in their children's lives, but it forced us to come together again and regroup and strengthen the family unit. We're going to grocery store together. We're planning the meals together. We're talking and we're pouring out our heart and we're sharing our anxieties and our worries, but we're there to encourage each other. You got brothers and sisters who maybe haven't talked to each other in years, but now we're checking on each other. But it also has brought, I think, the body of Christ together, because now we've learned how to have worship and to seek his face in our home. So it's really not in the four walls of the church. It's right there in our home. So it strengthens our faith. And when we can reconnect to God, we can reconnect back to the family unit. When we get out of this pandemic, I pray that we're going to be stronger, we're going to be wiser, and we're going to come out productive.
Love it. I love it. Elle, what is that? What has this to do by yourself?
I mean, I think that one of the first things that I realized that I was upset about was that just from childhood, I was advanced and I skipped, like, for example, I skipped second grade, and I got put into a class with all white kids, and I was always singled out, and it was always this feeling of like, why are you here? And so I used that moving forward, whether it was high school or getting into college, as like, I belong here, and you're not going to tell me I don't belong here. So I'm going to just go after everything. I'm going to apply to NYU. I'm going to get signed to Sony. I'm going to do all these things that you think this little Black girl can't do. But when I reconciled with that, I was like, that is messed up. I should be able to just dream and go after things just because. I should have that right as a human being. And I think what it is now is like me re-looking at my goals and taking away that feeling like I have to prove something to anyone or prove my worth, and just showing up because it's what I want to do. I want to express myself, and that's it. And that's enough, because they get to do that. So will I.
It sounds like, and we got to take a quick break, but it sounds like all three of you women basically said throughout all of this, you've gotten a little bit more freedom in your life maybe this has given some permission to
Absolutely.
kind of let go and kind of cut some of those ties and things that are kind of holding us back.